What if I told you there is a country in Europe right now that is so desperate for workers? Their government is actively changing immigration laws to make it easier for you to move there. We are not talking about a developing country. We are talking about a safe, sunny, beautiful European nation. A country where you can walk to the ocean on your lunch break. A country where your rent could be half of what you're paying right now. And the craziest part, over 200,000 people a year are already making the move, and the window is still wide open. I'm talking about Portugal, and by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly whether this country is right for you and the exact steps to get there. Stay with me, this one could genuinely change your life. If you're new here, hit subscribe. We cover immigration and working abroad every single week. So let me ask you something, and I want you to actually think about this. Are you genuinely happy where you are right now? Not just comfortable, actually happy in your country. Because there's a difference between being stuck in a routine you've built around convenience and truly living the life you imagine for yourself and your family. For a lot of people watching this video, the answer is complicated. Maybe you're working a job that pays okay, but the cost of living keeps rising and you feel like you're barely keeping up. Maybe you've been Googling countries to move to at 11 p.m. after a stressful day. Maybe you've got a skill in tech or healthcare or construction and you feel like you're not being paid what you're worth. Or maybe you're a freelancer, a remote worker, and you've realized your laptop goes everywhere. So why are you still paying Lagos, Uganda, Kenyan prices to sit in the same flat? Here's the question I want this video to answer. In 2026, what is the easiest, most realistic country for a working person to move to and build an actual life in? And the answer, backed by immigration data, expert surveys, and the government-owned published numbers, is Portugal. Let me show you why. Portugal has become popular with expats for years, but 2026 is different, and here's why. A really interesting problem from our perspective. The country's population is aging and shrinking. They don't have enough workers to fill the jobs being created by a growing, modernizing economy. The government's own Ministry of Labour has said that Portugal needs more than 200,000 foreign workers every single year to plug that gap. Let me put that in perspective. That is not a rumor. That's not a blog post. That is the official government position. And because of it, Portugal has been doing something almost no other European country is doing right now, making immigration easier. They replaced their old immigration agency with a new one called IMA, the Agency for Integration, Migration and Asylum, specifically designed to process applications faster. Work permits are now expected to be approved within 60 days. Digital submission is accepted. They've added new visa categories specifically for skilled workers and remote professionals. And the demand for foreign workers is real. The top sectors hiring right now include technology and IT. Lisbon, Porto, and Braga are now legitimate tech hubs. Companies like Farfetch, Talkdesk, and OutSystems are headquartered there. And multinationals like Bosch, Siemens, and IBM have major Portugal operations. Software developers and data scientists can earn between 35 and 60,000 euros a year. Healthcare. Portugal has a serious shortage of doctors and nurses. If you're a qualified healthcare professional, you are in extreme high demand. Medical specialists can earn well above the national average, and the government has fast-track processing for healthcare roles. Construction and engineering. Portugal is in the middle of a massive infrastructure expansion. Civil engineers, electricians, and skilled tradespeople are needed urgently. Salaries in this sector range from 12,000 to 30,000 euros. With room to grow. Hospitality and tourism. Portugal gets tens of millions of tourists a year. The Algarve, Lisbon, and Porto all have a near permanent demand for hospitality workers. If you speak English, you're already ahead. What about renewable energy? Portugal has one of the most ambitious green energy programs in Europe. Solar and wind engineers are in demand and being paid well. So the jobs are real. The government wants you. And the timing right now in 2026 is as good as it has ever been. Now let's talk about how you actually get in. The 3 visa parts. Okay, so this is the part people always get confused about. Portugal has a lot of visa options and it can feel overwhelming. So I'm going to break it down into the 3 most realistic paths for workers. Pick the one that fits your situation. Path 1 is the digital nomad visa for remote workers and freelancers. If you work remotely, whether for a foreign company or as a freelancer, this is your visa. The Portugal Digital Nomad Visa, officially called the D8, was created for exactly this situation. You work for clients or employers outside Portugal, you earn in a stronger currency, and you live in Portugal. The requirements for 2026 are: you need to prove a minimum monthly income of 3,680 euros. That's 4 times Portugal minimum wage. You also need savings of at least 11,040 euros in your bank account. You need a clean criminal record, health insurance, and proof that your work is genuinely remote, a contract or freelance agreement. Processing time at the consulate is roughly 30 to 60 days once approved. You get a 1-year residence permit, renewable as long as you keep meeting the requirements. And here's the lifestyle math. If you're earning 3,680 euros a month, which is roughly £3,100 or £4,000, and your rent in Lisbon is 1,200 euros to 1,500 euros, you're living very comfortably. That is quality of life most people in London or New York can't buy at twice the salary. Path 2, the highly qualified worker visa, D3, for professionals with degrees or experience. If you have a university degree or at least 5 years of professional experience in your field, the D3 highly qualified activity visa is your route into the Portuguese job market directly. For this one, you need a job offer from a Portuguese employer before you apply. Your salary must be at least 1,380 euro per month. That is 1.5 times Portuguese minimum wage, and you need your qualifications recognized. Once approved, you get a 2-year residence permit, renewable for 3 more years after 5 years of legal residence. You can apply for permanent residency. After that, you can apply for a Portuguese passport, which is also an EU passport, which means you can live and work in 27 countries. For people in tech, healthcare, engineering, and finance, this is a very achievable pathway, especially if you're willing to reach out proactively to Portuguese employers and position yourself correctly. Path 3, the tech visa for tech workers specifically. This one is less talked about but incredibly powerful if you work in technology. Portugal's tech visa is a fast-track immigration route specifically for professionals who get hired by companies that are certified under Portugal's tech ecosystem program. These are companies that have been vetted and approved by the Portuguese government as part of the country's push to build a world-class technology sector. If you had a job at one of these certified companies, and there are hundreds of them including major names, the immigration process is significantly faster and smoother than a standard D3. Lisbon and Porto are now regularly mentioned in the same breath as Berlin, Amsterdam and Barcelona as European tech destinations. If you're in software, AI, cybersecurity or data science, this is worth your time. If you want a full breakdown of which companies are tech visa certified and how to apply directly, comment tech visa below and I'll put together a dedicated video on that. What life actually looks like. Okay, visas are great, but what does your actual life look like once you're there? Because I don't want to sell you a dream, I want to give you the real picture. Let's talk money first. Portugal ranks 60th on the Numbeo cost of living index. That means it's significantly cheaper than most of Western Europe and the US. The cost of living in Portugal, including rent, is roughly 30% lower than comparable European cities. Rent for a 1-bedroom apartment in central Lisbon runs between 1,200 to 1,800 euros per month. Outside the city centre or in Porto, Braga or the Algarve, you're looking at 800 euros to 1,100 euros per month. Utilities for a standard apartment run around 100 euro to 150 euros per month. High-speed fiber internet is roughly around 50 to 70 euro per month. Groceries are noticeably cheaper than the UK or US. Healthcare is another big one. Portugal has a public national health service, and once you're a legal resident and contributing to the social security system, you have access to it. Many expats also take out private health insurance, which runs around 50 to 150 euro per month. Depending on coverage, either way, it is a fraction of what healthcare costs in the United States. Now let's talk about quality of life, because this is where Portugal really stands out for me. In the 2025 Expat Insider Survey by Internations, one of the most respected annual surveys of experts' life globally, Portugal ranked top 10 for quality of life and 12th for personal finance. Those are strong numbers. Portugal ranks 7th in the world for safety. Violent crime is low. Cities are walkable. Experts consistently report feeling safer than they did in the US, UK, or Australia, and even in Nigeria. The weather is genuinely excellent. Lisbon gets around 300 days of sunshine per year. The Algarve is warmer still. Even in winter, temperature in Lisbon rarely drop below 10 degrees Celsius. And the lifestyle, the pace, the culture, the food, it's something experts talk about constantly. Long lunches, coffee culture, Sunday markets, coastal drives, an ocean at the edge of a European capital city. There's genuinely nowhere else in Europe quite like it. English is widely spoken in cities and tourist areas. Most people in Lisbon under 40 can hold a conversation in English. That said, and I will say this is more in a moment, learning Portuguese will transform your experience. The real talk, objectives and challenges. Alright, I've given you the good stuff. Now let me give you the honest stuff, because if I only tell you the positive, I'm not doing my job. Challenge number 1, local salaries are low. If you're moving to Portugal and expecting to earn what you earn in London, New York or Sydney, working for a local company, you will be disappointed. But it makes more sense coming from Nigeria or Africa. The average salary in Portugal is modest by Western European standards. That's why the digital nomad visa and remote work model works so well here. You bring your income with you. If you're relying on a local salary, go in with realistic expectations. Challenge number 2 is bureaucracy. Portugal has made real improvements with the new IMA agency and processing times are getting better. But Portuguese bureaucracy can still be slow, paper heavy, and occasionally maddening. Things take time. You will need patience. Getting a NIF, your Portuguese tax number, getting a bank account, getting your residence appointment, it all takes longer than you'd like. Factor this in. Challenge number 3, housing costs are rising. I told you rent is lower than London or New York, but it's not as cheap as it was 5 years ago. Demand from expats and remote workers has driven prices up significantly in Lisbon especially. If you want the most affordable experience, look at Porto, Braga, Setúbal, or the interior of the country. Challenge number 4, language. You can survive in Lisbon in English, but you will not truly integrate or access many jobs without Portuguese. The good news is that Portuguese is one of the most accessible languages for English speakers to learn, especially if you have any background in Spanish or French. Apps, classes, and immersion all work, but go in knowing learning the language is a part of the deal. One more thing, Portugal recently extended the naturalization period for citizenship from 5 years to between 7 and 10 years for most foreigners under new political changes. This is worth checking with an immigration lawyer based on your specific situation, as the rules can depend on your nationality and category. None of these challenges are deal breakers, but they are real, and knowing them going in makes you better prepared. Drop a comment below telling me which of these challenges you're most worried about. I read every single one and it helps me know what to cover next. Alright, let me make this actionable. Here is your step-by-step roadmap to move into Portugal in 2026. Step 1 is figure out your visa category. Go back to the 3 paths we covered: remote worker or freelancer, D3 digital nomad or freelancer, D8 digital nomad visa, qualified professional seeking local employment, D3, or tech visa, retired or living on passive income, D7, knowing which box you're in before you do anything else. Step 2, get your NIF. Your NIF is your Portuguese tax identification number, and you need it for almost everything. From opening a bank account, signing a lease, applying for residency. You can apply at the Portuguese consulate in your home country, or if you're already in Portugal, at a local tax office. Many people use a licensed representative to do this remotely. Do it early. Open a Portuguese bank account. You will need this for your visa application and for life in Portugal. Step 4, gather your documents. For most visas, you will need valid passports, proof of income or employment, proof of accommodation in Portugal, criminal criminal background check, health insurance, and passport photos. Start this process early. Background checks in particular can take weeks. Apply at your local Portuguese consulate. Book your visa appointment at the Portuguese consulate in your country. Wait times vary. Some consulates are faster than others. The UK, US, and Australian consulates typically have slots available within a few weeks. Apply for your D-type visa. Processing takes roughly 30 to 60 days. Step 6 is to book temporary accommodation first. Don't sign a long lease before you arrive. Book a furnished apartment for 1 to 3 months. Explore the neighborhoods. Figure out what suits your lifestyle. Then sign a longer lease once you know where you want to be. Step 7. Register with IMA on arrival. Once you land in Portugal on your visa, you will need to register with IMA, the immigration agency, to get your residence permit card. Book this appointment early as slots fill up. This is where patience with bureaucracy is most needed. A local immigration lawyer can be worth the cost here. Step 8 is start learning Portuguese. Duolingo, Itaki, a local evening class. Start before you arrive if you can. Even basic Portuguese goes a long way. That's it. 8 steps. Entirely doable. Thousands of people are doing it this year. The only question is whether you're going to be one of them. Look, moving to a new country is a big decision. I'm not going to pretend otherwise, but here's what I know. Portugal is one of the few places in the world right now where the government wants you, the job market needs you, the cost of living works for you, and the quality of life will surprise you. 2026 is your window. These things don't stay open forever. So here's what I want you to do right now. First, if this video gave you value, hit that like button, hype the video. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this. Second, subscribe, because next week I'm covering the top 5 cities in Portugal for expats, ranked by affordability, job market, and lifestyle. You do not want to miss that one. Third, comment below. Tell me, where are you moving from? And what's the one thing still holding you back? I read every comment and I might just feature your question in a future video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself and take the leap.